Once upon a time in a faraway land, there was an old church that stood the test of time. Inside, a single candle was always lit, no matter how many times it was blown out. People came from all around to see this miracle, but only a few truly believed it was a miracle. One day, a poor man came across the church. He was so desperate for money he'd steal a loaf of bread to feed his family. He had heard about the miraculous candle and thought if he could somehow steal it, maybe he could sell it and finally have enough money to feed his family. So when the church doors opened that evening, he snuck inside. The man looked around to make sure no one was coming. Then he reached out to grab the candle, but just as his fingers brushed against it, a voice echoed through the church. "Do not blow out the candle." The man froze. He slowly turned around to look for the source of the voice, but saw no one. Just as he turned back to the altar, he heard the voice again. "Do not blow out the candle." The man didn't want to be caught, so he grabbed the candle and ran. That night, he hid the candle in his house and went to bed. But he couldn't sleep. As he lay in his bed, he heard chains dragging metal moans. Then out of the corner of his eye, he saw a shadow flicker. He turned on his side to look, but saw nothing. Then he heard a whisper, "Give me back my flame." He tried to scream, but no sound came out. He turned to the other side and saw the shadow again. It beckoned with a finger for him to follow. He wanted to, but he was also scared to leave his house. The man stayed in his bed paralyzed by fear until the sun began to rise. As the first rays of sunlight hit the candle, it flared up, but the shadow was gone. The man cautiously got out of bed and walked over to the candle. He was mesmerized by its flame, for it burned brighter than any candle he had ever seen. He reached out to touch it, and as his finger made contact, his reflection appeared in the flame. But it wasn't his face that he saw, but the face of a horrifying monster. The man screamed, fell to his knees and begged the candle to forgive him. But as the sun rose higher and higher, his reflection grew more distorted until it consumed his entire being. And that's when the man learned that some miracles are best left untouched.